Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, presented by Moderna. Some happy Giants fans out in the Valley of the Sun as New York Giants rally for a comeback win against the Arizona Cardinals. 31-28 is the final score. Going into the half, down 20-0. They rally for the comeback, the largest comeback in Giants history of 20 or more point deficit since 1950. A moment for the ages as these Giants fans out in Arizona quite happy to see it. Welcome into the studio on Giants Postgame Live. Madelyn Burke alongside the Super Bowl champ Shaun O'Hara, the Super Bowl champ Amani Toomer. Guys, that was a fun second half. Thriller indeed. Of course, they hadn't scored a point in the first three halves of the season. Coming into the second half of this game, though, it was a complete plot twist for this team, Shaun.
Yeah, really, the tale of two halves. The first half, throw that one away, flush it down the toilet, along with the Cowboys game. But the life that this team came back in the second half with, whatever they did at halftime, whatever the conversations were, the speeches, the gut checks, whatever that was, it was that first offensive drive led by the big play to Jalen Hyatt. Daniel Jones hits him on a big play, and all of a sudden energy started to erupt out of the, both offense and defense. And then that sequence, Daniel Jones authoritatively running into the end zone for the touchdown, that kind of sparked the comeback. And it's always amazing, Amani, right? When the offense starts scoring points and playing well, all of a sudden the defense comes to life too.
Yeah, it's infectious, the energy that they showed today, and the fact that early on it wasn't what we expected. It was more of what we saw against the Cowboys, and all of a sudden, like you said, when Jalen Hyatt caught that ball, it just lighted up the entire offense, and that's what the Giants needed. They needed a big play to loosen things up and show that they can go deep. Because before, most of the plays for this season were short passes, were over the middle, and the defense and the offensive line wasn't able to really let Daniel Jones survey the field and do what he did in the second half. I'm really proud of the fight that I was looking for in the second half of the Cowboys game. We finally saw this team fighting back like they did much of last season, and they played it very close to the vest. I'm very excited about how the trajectory from how bad it was last week to how good it is now, in terms of the momentum, the feeling, the faith that you can have in this team. This is that team that we saw last year come back from so many games, from their come back in the second half and do what they did. It's just, it's really good to see.
It's good to see. Yeah. And one of the points that you mentioned too, Jalen Hyatt, the rookie, had his welcome to the NFL moment with that 58-yard catch over the middle. He's now on the field with Paul Dottino. Let's send it down.
Jalen, an incredible comeback. I think you have to feel so much like a Giant today with your contributions, a 50-plus yard catch and a 30-plus yard catch that really sparked the comeback.
Yeah, they believed in me. I just want to go out and make plays for the team. They trusted me, so that's what I'm going to do.
There was a point earlier in this game where I saw you waving a towel, kind of like before your time, Kevin Conklin used to do, to spark these fans. An incredible moment as you were lighting the fire.
Yeah, I mean, look at our fan base. They all came out to support. Even though what we did last week, they still came out to support, and they brought the energy. And it really goes to the fans and what they did. I'm proud for what the support they came, and we just came out with a dub. That's what we needed.
At any level, high school or college, have you been part of a comeback this incredible in the second half of the game?
Nah, this is my first time, but it just shows to the guys we got in that locker room, the leaders we got in there, our head coach, our offense coordinator. Everybody believes in each other, and that's why we came out with a dub.
Every Giants fan out there is going to want to know why it took you guys a half to wake up today.
Yeah, that's not how we wanted to start. But man, hey, it's 60 minutes in the game. So we came out second half, did what we have to do, but what's on the next week is on the 49ers, and we're ready to go.
Jalen Hyatt, congratulations.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
That interview, Paul Dottino with Jalen Hyatt, brought to you by Ford, your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants. Like he said, though, never been a part of a comeback that significant. When you feel that shift, that momentum, especially on a short week, it's got to inspire this team, Amani.
Yeah, I remember we played against the Eagles and came back from 17, but 20 is a totally different number. The fact that what you're talking about is the attitude, the culture, and when you see the culture playing itself out the way it did today, most of the teams, we get to down 20-0 at halftime, and you're thinking about, the flight home. This team focused in, big play by Jalen Hyatt coming through. I'm just really excited about the way this team fought and finally showed the grit that they had last year.
I think this game is all about momentum, right? And it's all about the swings. And the first half couldn't have gone any worse for the Giants. Basically, their first 3 possessions, they go 3-and-out punts and then interception. It wasn't Daniel Jones' fault. But all of a sudden, they got some rhythm in the second half. And there might be something to that. I don't know. We were kind of having the conversation. Is Brian Daboll calling plays? Like, he was kind of looking like he might have been doing some of that. So there was some change-up of some sort. But I think the biggest thing is, in the second half, they started blocking people. This game is elementary, all right? Yeah. It's about blocking the quarterback, protecting your quarterback, getting to theirs. The Giants did a better job of that. Kudos to the offensive line because they were without Andrew Thomas. All right, he did not play in this game, inactive. Mark Lewinsky did not start at right guard. You had Marcus McKeithen, basically a rookie, tore his ACL last year, fill in. And they also lost Ben Bredesen to a concussion, so Mark Lewinsky had to come in. So good job by the offensive line of rallying in the second half and all of a sudden protecting Daniel Jones.
Josh Azudu also starting at left tackle. We got a couple Carolina guys getting their starts over there.
Go Heels.
As well, right? Go Heels indeed. The offensive line really showing up, but as you mentioned, offense inspiring defense. The defense as well played extremely well. Paul Dottino now on the field with Bobby Okereke. Let's send it back to Arizona.
Bobby, an unbelievable comeback. Now, I know the first half didn't go the way you wanted to, but what sparked the difference in the second half?
Just playmaking. Big hits flying around to the football. I mean, we know we're going to face adversity. We faced in the first half. We came back, kept punching, and found a way to get a win.
You got 2 3-and-out stops on their last 2 drives. What was different there during those last 2 defensive possessions?
You know, we just told ourselves we got to do our job. Offense did a hell of a job, scoring points, getting down the field, making it a close game. Defense, we knew we had to close it out, and that's what we did.
What does it do for your defense when you see this offense continue to scratch back from a very big hole?
You know, it creates a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence. You know we have a great team. We just got to go play like it, and, we'll get better results.
Bobby, thanks for your time. Congrats.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Come on, let's go get fast.
That sound from Bobby Okereke brought to you by Ford, as he mentioned, clawing back. The first punt of the game by Arizona didn't come until the fourth quarter. A strong showing down the stretch for this Giants defense. All right, guests of the post-game show received a gift certificate to Ben and Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben and Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. Stay with us. We're just getting started on Giants post-game live. After the break, we'll hear from head coach Brian Daboll and more. We'll be back with more after this.
Of course, for sure. Have you ever been a part of such an incredible comeback, down by 3 touchdowns midway through the third quarter?
This one's special. I'm going to think about this one right now. I feel pretty good about it.
Have any idea how many game-winning kicks you made?
I have no clue.
Well, congrats on this one.
All right, appreciate it.
Graham Gano saying he's got no clue. Luckily, we do. 12 game-winning field goals by Graham Gano, including the one that sent the Giants to the win. 31-28 is the final in Arizona as the Giants get the win in the Valley of the Sun in week 2. It's great to see. Welcome back, Giants Post-Game Live, brought to you by Moderna. Watching that, first of all, Paul Dottino, the hardest working man out there, getting the walk and talk walk off after hiking a mountain in 103 degrees. So hat tip to P-Dots out there. They're having a good time out in Arizona. All right, we talked about how much the offense kind of came alive in the second half, but the defense, really, they weren't able to do that without the defensive stops that we saw, Shaun.
Yeah, I thought Dexter Lawrence played a great second half, and he became a force trying to slow down James Conner. Look, that guy was running hard. He was tough to bring down, and I think we saw as the game kind of went on, the Giants were the better team as the game went along, and in the second half, they played better. Bobby Okereke with some really nice stops as well, and I think he made his presence felt. But you have to give credit to Jason Pinnock all over the field. He had the interception that ended up getting negated by the penalty, but he was blitzing, he was harassing the quarterback, he was coming downhill, making tackles. I think this defense really stepped up in the second half, and as you get momentum offensively, start scoring points, gives them a little bit of energy, a little bit of life. I thought Wink Martindale did a better job this week of applying some pressure, bringing some blitzes after really not pressuring Dallas a lot last week. It was a really great effort by the defense in the second half.
It really was, but there needs to be more of a pass rush. There needs to be more pressure on the passer, because early on Dobbs looked like he was getting ready to put on a gold jacket, but because they were not getting any pressure to him, he was able to survey the field and distribute. But the second half, things started changing around. Bobby Okereke, like you said, Xavier McKinney, all these guys were in there, just changing the physicality of the game, because early on, it looked like they were getting pushed around, like they got pushed around against Dallas, and they really stepped up in that aspect. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about was how Daniel Jones, no matter what happens, he reminds me of Eli. No matter what happens early on, when it comes down to the fourth quarter, he is always on. He always seems like he's playing downhill. Like he doesn't seem like he goes in the tank like some quarterbacks that I've played with do. And that's such a positive enforcement for everybody in that locker room, knowing that regardless of what happens, your quarterback is going to be ready to play when he needs. He's going to put you in a position to get back in the game. And that's why everybody loves Daniel Jones, and they love the way he keeps on playing. And he never.
His speed, too.
He is so much faster than people think.
He is so fast.
He has long strides, but when he puts his feet down, they actually move really forward.
It's weird how that works.
It's weird how that works. All right, we are getting word that head coach Brian Daboll is stepping to the podium, so let's send it back to Arizona to hear from the coach. Maybe not. Maybe not. You know what? Live TV, folks.
How you doing? What happened at halftime that, the second half was such a different looking team than the first?
Executed well.
What did you say to them at halftime?
Not a bunch, a little bit, but keep that in-house. That's certainly not the reason. I mean, execution plays a big part of football, and I thought they executed well.
You've seen Daniel do some good things last season. What you see today, is that just another sign of him continuing to progress and what he can do?
Yeah, I thought he finished strong, played a really good second half. We had a couple things could have improved on in the first half, talked about those. But he's a resilient young man. I went out there and played well, along with, I'd say, a number of people.
Saquon got carted off for X-rays here.
Yeah, I don't know yet, guys. I don't know anything with injuries. Bredesen, I don't know. I think it was his head, but I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Ronnie or any of the medical staff yet.
Did you call plays in the second half?
Nope.
You didn't?
Nope.
Did you change anything about that process offensively, like how you and Mike were?
No, we always communicate like that. Yeah. So I always have a sheet with me. But Mike did a fantastic job. I communicate with Mike. I communicate with T-Mac. I communicate with Wink. So offensive staff did a good job. Moved the ball, scored points. Did their job.
Given everything that you had to deal with, Andrew, and stuff during the game, penalties, this is satisfying a win as you've had since you've been here?
I don't know. They're all satisfying. Every game is different. Every game you fight through some adversity. Tonight was, a good example of being resilient and playing the next play and focusing on the next series. And, they did their job in the second half. We did a good job on third down. Hit some explosive or chunk plays. Made some timely stops at the end of the game. Made a game-winning field goal. Played much better, coached much better in the second half. And, you hope they don't, all start out 20-0. It was, we didn't do not a good enough job in the first half, but fortunately, came out, executed well situationally. I think 4 or 4 in the red zone. Offensively, almost, 65% on third down. That usually gets you some points and made some big plays.
How much of a spark was that deep ball to Hine? Was that a play specifically drew up to give you a spark?
Yeah, no, it's something we talked about coming out. We were. I'd say we were possessing. We were throwing some timely possessive passes, try to get the ball out, get in the balls or the hands of the playmakers, and then we just didn't convert enough third downs, and then we had one earlier. We had a chance at one earlier, just didn't go to it. So, it was a good second half.
How much could you feel, I think your term last week was slippery slope. Could you feel that you created a slippery slope in the second half? Like whatever momentum after
for the other team? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm proud of how resilient the guys were, and they didn't focus on the scoreboard, and that's a hard thing to do. We're in a production business, and to focus on just doing your job. And I thought Hyde stepped up as a young rookie and made a couple nice plays for us. Slay, Waller, and then obviously Daniel. I thought the line for the young players, they did a heck of a job. Those young guys on the offensive line, and when you look at it, you got Zudu, who didn't play much last year, is really like a rookie, you know, and McKeithen, and Evan Neal had some, and then you got John Michael. And then young corners, you got 2 rookie corners. So, you know, those young players help contribute in a positive way, and we're going to need to, really all of us, keep getting better. It's good to get a win, make no mistake about it, but a lot to clean up, and, you know, in a short amount of time.
Brian, this is tied for the largest comeback in franchise history. You know, you were staring 0-2 in the face. How much can a win like this mean for a team going forward?
I don't know. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of comebacks, some in the end of the year games where it's a lot to a little. I don't know. I really, Jordan. I really think that playing well and preparing. I mean, I know it's a broken record, but that's the truth in the National Football League. You can't take one week to the next. You know, you can't take.
Something those teams though have built on, the ones that you've been on that have had those kind of wins, and then it kind of propels you.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, we're in the second week of the season. The guys fought their way back. We got plenty to work on. I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of our coaches, but certainly a long way to go. But definitely good to get a win.
Dave, you said, you know, the idea that, you know, comebacks happen in this league, but to come back from 21 points, I would imagine at some point you start feeling, you know, this isn't just a Hail Mary, but this is a possibility. Was there a moment for you in the second half that you felt the tide turning in your favor?
No, I just, again, you get into a rhythm a little bit, and that play helped, obviously, to Jalen. And then they went down and scored. But, you know, I think just creating positive plays and execution and then finishing in the end zone for a team, it uplifts, you know, probably the entire team. But not one thing in specific, Art. Again, I thought that team played their tails off. Gritty group. Man, that runner he's a tough son of a gun. So, again, and then you get the interception off of Saquon's hand. They get going. Again, to be able to just keep competing, that's not always the easiest thing to do. But, you know, we talked a little bit about it at halftime. Made my point, and ultimately it's the players that go out there and have to execute.
How close is Andrew to playing, and then can you just explain?
Andrew?
Yeah, and explain just the O-line combination. Like Zudu didn't get a lot of snaps left tackle.
Yeah.
McKeithen has not played really. So
Yeah. Well, they've practiced the last few weeks, and that's what we see, Dan. I know you don't see it, but McKeithen did a good job all week. Zudu's been doing a good job at tackle. He's got quick feet. A lot to learn. I'm sure I can't give you an evaluation of them. I'm proud of the way they competed for 60 minutes all the way to the end. So we'll see. And Andrew, we'll see. He was, you know, I'm not going to give a percentage of how close. He was better than he was. We just thought it was the right thing to do. Knowing that we play a game on Thursday, you know, he practiced more than he did on Thursday. He practiced on Friday. Got some team reps, did some things like that. So it's a quick turnaround. We'll see where we're at. I'd say the same thing with Wandell. I know we'll talk a short amount of time here, but yeah, we'll see where we're at.
Dave, why were the first and second halves so starkly different?
Made some plays. I mean, I thought we pressed the ball a little bit down the field, which Danny did a great job, and the line did a great job of protecting. And, you know, those players, whether it was Waller, Slayton, Hyatt, made some plays down the field, good reads. And we just stayed ahead of the chains, you know. So anytime you can do that, that helps an offense. You know, too many penalties, you know, rough start of the game. Plenty of stuff to work on, but the finish that these guys had, it was, you know, it's good to get a win.
Two more. You said you made your point at half. Like what point?
Yeah, I'd just say it's, you know, I don't know if necessarily was a point. I just said what I had to say, but it's really not. It's not about a halftime speech or a halftime adjustment. You know, you do those things all the time. I think it's about, you know, the will of the player. And, you know, when you haven't scored a point in a game and a half and you come in at halftime, you know, I'd say as a leader there's a delicate balance between, you know, focus on the next play and maybe a little extra. So, but again, all the credits goes to the players. I'd say to the play callers, the assistant coaches. You know, it's good to get this win. We made it hard. I'll tell you that. We made it hard.
One more. You say, and maybe a little extra. You mean focusing on your confidence that they're going to come all the way back and win the game?
Yeah, just, you know, belief. You But you can talk about it till you're blue in the face, Pat. Belief. It's got to happen. You have to see tangible results, too. So I think we have some mentally tough players on our team and coaches. It's not always easy to be mentally tough when you're, whatever it is, 60-0 after a game and a half. So there's encouragement. There is detail in what needs to get done. And, there's, I wouldn't say you scream and yell. I don't think that's the answer, but you definitely place an emphasis on what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, with confidence and sternness.
Daniel, when he's ready.
Thanks, guys.
Locker room talk.
All right.
That sound from head coach Brian Daboll is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants. We'll break down what we heard from the coach after the break. But first, Giants fans, check out the Coach Daboll Show presented by Ford. We'll look back on today's game and take a look ahead at next week's matchup. It's the Coach Daboll Show, airing every week on MSG Networks and the Giants YouTube channel. Stay with us. Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna, continues after this. Welcome back to the show. Today's scoring drive of the game is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made ready for Giants fans. For the drive of the game, we bring you to the fourth quarter. 6 plays, 64 yards, took 3 minutes and 6 seconds off the clock. Ends in an 11-yard touchdown reception by Isaiah Hodgins. Ties this game up at 28 with just a few minutes left in the game. And then the Giants would go on to win 31-28 out in the Valley of the Sun in Arizona. Now let's send it down to Arizona, where Isaiah Hodgins is speaking to the media.
So, Isaiah, you catch the tying touchdown pass with 4.5 minutes left. It seemed like the passing game really got going there in the second half, and you guys were able to cut them up and do what you wanted. What changed?
I think we came together at halftime and we had more of a sense of urgency, and we realized that, we were shooting ourselves in the foot and, we were moving the ball a lot, and it just came down to stupid little mistakes. So we came in at halftime, man, and we rallied together. We got together, we said all the time in the offseason, spending time with each other and the camaraderie, like you find out about that now, in the hard times. You don't find that out, how close you are when you're up 30-0. You find it out when you're down. So, it just shows how close of a team we have.
So I think a little birdie just told me this was a very special day for you and your family. Kind of nice to catch that pass in that situation.
Yeah. My son and my parents were right there in the end zone, so I was able to give the ball to my son, and it was his birthday. So it's definitely a birthday for him to remember. I mean, he won't know it now, but he'll look back on it, and it will be a cool moment. So.
That's a great celebration. What is it about Daniel Jones that allows him to control the huddle and continue fighting and bringing you guys back like he did?
Yeah, I think just his calmness and his poise, just his confidence in himself. And you only act like that when you're confident. You can't be poised and sit there and leading a team if you're not confident in yourself. And, he's confident because he prepares his ass off. And throughout the whole week, he's one of the hardest workers. He sits there and he's making sure the wide receiver's on the same page as him. So, when we get that look and, like, on that touchdown, he literally looked at me before and was like, be ready. Like, he knew, like, it was coming. So, that's just how prepared he is. So.
Sometimes we talk about momentum as being a real thing. Sometimes we don't. The crowd was going crazy. It seemed like when you guys were coming back, they were sparking you. So how did that play into the final drive that won it?
Man, that played into it greatly. I mean, Giants fans travel crazy, and I mean, that was one of my better experiences, just witnessing how deep they travel, and I was just surprised, like even pregame, to see how many Giants fans were out there. So, I mean, salute to them and all the loyal fans out there, and they definitely helped us.
Isaiah Hodgins, thanks for your time. Congrats.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That sound from Isaiah Hodgins brought to you by your local Ford stores as we take a look at his numbers in today's win in Arizona. 4 receptions, 40 yards, including that game-tying touchdown in the fourth quarter. But as he mentioned, he and Paul were talking about a lot of Giants fans out there in Arizona. And Shaun, I know you just tweeted this out as well, but Giants have some good memories out in Arizona.
Yeah, that stadium's been good to the Giants and their fans over the last couple of years. Some very dramatic victories. You don't always like having to come from behind or 20 points down, but an unbelievable job. The atmosphere, you could hear it. You could hear it on the broadcast. You could hear the eruption. The fans got loud. All of a sudden, when the Giants got back into the game on third down for Arizona, all of a sudden they were having a hard time hearing Dobbs call the cadence. They had a couple of false start penalties as well. So kudos to all the Giants fans that made the trip down there. I know they're probably celebrating. Hey, you might as well stay. All right, you got a few days to just drive to Santa Clara because we're taking on the 49ers very shortly. But I think Isaiah Hodgins talked about just the execution. The execution in the red zone was huge. Like, it's great to have all the yards and the big plays, and hey, we're getting down there, and if you settle for a field goal, it's a different game. But the fact that they were able to punch it in, the Giants were 4 for 5 in the red zone, and they punched it in every single time. When you looked at the scoreboard, you knew we got to get back into this game. I think that ended up being a big difference and a big push and really a big boost for the entire team.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Thomas McGahee. You know, they got the field goal blocked last week. He's the special teams coordinator. And, you know, they win the game with Graham Gano. But before that, to start the drive, to the go-ahead, the winning drive, you know, they had a great punt return by Eric Gray. And it was 14 yards, but 14 yards, first of all, to catch a ball in that position, because I was a punt returner, to catch a ball in that position and then go straight forward. No side steps or anything, straight forward, straight up the field. It just takes a lot of nerve. And I just want to give a shout out. Those punt returners back there, it's an extreme sport being a punt returner in the NFL. And Eric Gray did a great job. He only had one punt return for 14 yards, but that one punt return shortened the field for the Giants. So they gave the Giants an extra first down. And that's all you can ask for a punt return.
It's like being a fireman, right? You're running towards the fire. Exactly. Everybody else is running away from it, and you're going right into it.
And he just went straight forward. It wasn't like, you know, sometimes you catch it. I was very impressed as a former punt returner.
Right, no hesitation, especially for a guy who over the 4 years he spent in college did it less than a dozen times on kicks and punts as well. But they've been giving him work in that position, and it seemed to pay off as well for the young guy. All right, Giants fans, run or walk with Giants legends. The Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 8th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. Register now at giants.com/5K.
I think I'll walk.
Run or walk.
No,
Either one. You
running?
got options. We got options. But stay with us. You'll hear from the quarterback, Daniel Jones, after the break.
Matt, are you running?
Welcome back. Time for our HCL Player of the Game presented by HCL Tech. Supercharging progress. The official digital transformation partner of the New York Football Giants. Player of the Game, of course, is one Daniel Jones, quarterback, getting it done out here. He was 26 of 37 for 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and added 59 yards and a touchdown on the ground. This is his 7th career fourth quarter comeback win for the quarterback as the Giants get the win 31-28 in the Valley of the Sun. Let's send it down to Arizona where we'll hear from Daniel Jones.
Daniel, how did you maintain confidence at halftime that you were going to be able to do what you did in the second half?
Yeah, I think we always remain confident and just kind of, you know, getting back to simple execution and, you know, trusting it, seeing it, and ripping it. We had some opportunities to make plays in the first half. We didn't do it, and, you know, I knew that they'd be there. I just had to execute, give our guys a chance to make those plays, and we did it, and kind of built off of it going forward.
How have you evolved to the point where you have the confidence and the ability to get something like that done yourself? In that situation, things look pretty dire.
I think, you know, I think it was, I think we did a great job of, you know, creating some of those opportunities and you know, calling stuff, getting guys open, and guys did a really good job making plays, and offensive line did a good job, you know, really the whole game, and especially there in that second half.
How important was the 58-yard pass to start the second half just to kind of get things going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think it was important. Big-time play by Jalen there to make it, and then, yeah, it gave us some confidence and momentum going forward.
When it's 20-0 at halftime after what happened last week, does it feel like the sky's falling? I mean, like, how do you kind of right yourself, quit looking at the scoreboard, and, you know, just try to go out there and produce?
I think it's just about, you know, it's about execution, and you know, you can't really afford to think about any of that or get, you know, emotional or thinking about, anything outside of what your job is, and that's to execute and focus on, kind of one play at a time and being right there, in that play and making sure you're taking advantage of it and making good decisions, giving guys chances to make plays. And, that was my focus, and I thought we did that well as a team.
After your touchdown run gets called back, did you have to say anything to the team, now it's 3rd and 9, about kind of, keeping it together?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we all kind of knew where it was and knew what the task at hand was, and we got a resilient, tough-minded group. So, we trust everyone to get back focused and know what they got to do to make the play.
Daniel, you said there was some missed opportunity.
That sound from Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, brought to you by Ford. As we mentioned, 7th career fourth quarter comeback win in his career. Just the confidence and the poise that he brought, especially in that second half, coming out of the gate with that big touchdown scoring drive, that Jalen Hyatt 58-yard pass followed by 12-yard touchdown run by the quarterback, really opened things up for this team.
Yeah, I thought the first half, a lot of things went wrong. There was a poor execution all across the board, some missed opportunities. And in the second half, I think, you're coming out as a team and everybody's kind of looking around like, all right, who's going to make the play? Who's going to step up? Who's going to provide that spark? And Daniel Jones right out of the gate says, all right, it's going to be me. I'm going to make the big throw. I'm going to make that big play. Certainly Jalen Hyatt with his speed getting open. But then to cap it off with that big run by Daniel Jones, that's what you want from your quarterback. That's what you want from your franchise quarterback. That's exactly what they expected from Daniel Jones. When we need it most, when we need a big play, can you make it? And he made it time and time again, not just with his arm, with his legs. Look, you see the rushing stats on there, and as you heard before, one of those touchdown runs got called back. But it's the plays that he extends with his feet to get out of pressure. And you know what? It's not a design run. It's the scramble runs. I think that's where he's really showing his value right now to this offense. You drop back, look, great coverage. Hey, nobody's open. I've got to make something happen. I'm getting positive yards. Yeah. Those are the hidden yardage and the hidden factors that Daniel Jones is bringing to the table, along with the accuracy and the ability to look. When the game's on the line, guess who played his best football in the fourth quarter? It was Daniel Jones.
Right. Exactly, and that's a great attribute to have as a quarterback. But one thing is, this is this first time he's in the second year of an offense, and it's showing. He's spreading the ball around to all the different receivers. He's not just eyeing down one guy. He's spreading the ball around, and that makes it so much more difficult to key in on trying to figure out where he's going to be, and it opens up the entire field. You got Hodgins, you had Waller, you had Campbell, Slayton, all these guys making big plays, and that really makes it hard for defenses to really zone in on one particular player. And this is what you get when you get a quarterback in his second year, and now you're really starting to see he knows these offense like the back of his hand, and he's actually showing it and coming down the stretch in very pressure-packed situations, and that's what you want out of a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, like you mentioned, spreading the ball around. 7 different receivers, 7 different players caught passes from Daniel Jones in today's game, including Saquon Barkley, who left in the fourth quarter with an ankle injury. We'll continue to monitor that on a short week heading into Arizona. But Giants fans, stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines, because you've got no time for 19. Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna, continues as we recap the Giants' 31-28 win over the Cardinals after this. Giants fans, make sure you're at MetLife Stadium for the next home game on October 2nd. The Giants will host the Seattle Seahawks for Monday Night Football. Limited individual tickets are available. Visit Giants.com/tickets to secure your seat today. Welcome back to the show. Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Moderna, as the Giants come away with a 31-28 comeback win in the Valley of the Sun. Let's send it down to Arizona, where Darius Slayton is with Paul Dottino.
Second half where you started believing and say, you know what, we are going to get this done?
Shoot, we came out the tunnel. We had the ball first. It's like, as an offense, like, you got to start believing right there, because it's important to go down there and get a touchdown. And, I think we did score right out of half, right? And we went down and got a touchdown. And then at that point, it's okay, we got a little momentum, and defense got to stop. And then from there, you're just putting points up.
Was there a point where you felt like we're just not going to lose this game?
Yeah, like I said, we came out of half, we got that first touchdown. It's like, all right. It's kind of like, in basketball, and they say getting the lid off the rim. It's like, all right, we got in the end zone, and now it's time to go.
What changed, though, Darius, why the first half just wasn't like the way you wanted it to be, and then it just clicked?
I think we just were missing little things, just here and there, like little stuff in the run game, little stuff in the pass game that in the second half we got going. And then obviously, Jalen did a good job of getting us going, had the first big bomb. He made 2 big plays on the field, actually, that helps a lot driving the ball. And, I think that those 2 things helped us out a lot.
We don't know exactly what Barkley's injury is, but on the last drive, he wound up grinding out something like 30 yards to get you guys in field goal range. And, of course, you caught the pass that got the offense over the 50 in very, very critical spots.
Yeah, that was a heck of a run by Saquon. He's a special player. He showed it on that play. I don't know, he broke 5-6 tackles, something like that, and, got us down there. And, that's why we love him. I'm glad he's on this team.
You ever been part of a comeback like this, 21 points down mid-third quarter?
Yeah, I was just telling him, I don't know if I've ever been a 20-0 comeback ever, so that probably was the first for me.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
What makes Daniel so well?
That sound from Darius Slayton, brought to you by Ford as we take a look at his numbers against the Cardinals today. 3 receptions for 62 yards, including a 29-yard long. Giants fans, make sure to subscribe to text alerts for breaking news, ticket offers, game day updates, and more. Just scan the QR code on your screen or text 201-636-1569 to subscribe to Giants text alerts. Keep up to date with all the latest Big Blue news. We got more Big Blue news coming your way on Giants Postgame Live. We'll be back with more after this.
It's it can be a hole if you view it that way, because at the end of the day, it's like that's the score and that's the result of what the first half was. If you want to do something about what that looks like, it takes one individual play at a time. It doesn't take looking at the scoreboard, it doesn't take looking at the clock or worrying about what went wrong. It's like if you handle individual plays, you'll put yourself back in the position because you're going to be doing things right. And that's the approach that we took, because a lot of times you can get distracted by saying, oh man, we're in a jam, like we need a huge play, we need this, we need that, instead of just like going out there and just let's execute, let's make something happen on the first drive. All right, let's continue that, let's continue to sustain.
How much of a spark was that DJ throw to Hyatt, right out of the box in the second half there, when 58 yards or whatever it was? How much of a spark was that? Because you had not really had anything to kind of build on in that first half, and it just seemed to kind of get you guys going a little bit. I got the Giant fans in the building a little bit going, right?
Right, yeah, it's a huge spark at that point in the game, and it's like, playing in National Football League, you don't know when that spark may come. Of course, you want it to be earlier, but that was the opportunity for us in this game, and we took advantage of it, and that allowed us to, build some momentum and sustain in drives. Because we're like, okay, this is what we're used to. This is what we've been doing since April throughout this whole process. Like, we know what we can do as an offense, and yeah, that definitely gets you going.
Darren, how difficult was it when Jones goes in for that touchdown and they call it back on a penalty, and now you guys have to regroup? The emotions must have been unbelievable.
Yeah, man, that's the roller coaster of football, man, and it's like, it stings for a little bit in a second, but it's like, all right, I got to bring myself back to the middle, because it's gonna be high plays like it was, and it's like it instantly went back to a low, like just dramatically, and it's like you got to be able to just take a deep breath, be like, damn, and then get back to the huddle and go to the next play.
How important is Daniel Jones's leadership in the huddle when you guys are trying to come out of a huge crater like that?
Big time, man. Just like I said, just the poise of it, because like you talk about like the whole, like, yeah, it looks like that, but it's like it's keeping your focus off of what the results look like and more on what the process looks like, because it's a process to go from 20-0 to 20-7 to 20-14, like each and every stage. You can't look at the very end stage like, okay, how do we win this game? It's like, how do we win this play? How do we win this possession? And he's one of the main guys leading the charge behind that.
Thank you.
That sound from Darren Waller, brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants as we take a look at Waller's numbers. 6 receptions for 76 yards, including a 25-yard long, one of the leading targets for Daniel Jones as the Giants come back, win this game. 24 unanswered points, the largest comeback for the Giants franchise in the Super Bowl era. After 3 scoreless halves, they get it done in Arizona, and Darren Waller is just kind of continuing to prove what a solid target he's been for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, his relationship with Daniel Jones, you could see they were in sync in that second half, and he was definitely one of his go-to guys. I think one of the things that's interesting, we talked to Darren Waller about the leadership of Daniel Jones. Darren Waller has become a leader on this team, and it's his play. He's not a big rah-rah guy, and you heard him talk about it. It's just executing, going out there and stacking plays. I think, though, when you look at this offense, Darren Waller, you mentioned the 29-yard reception. The Giants had 4 explosive plays in the past game over 25 yards, and it was Jalen Hyatt with 2 of them, with Darius Slayton, and then Darren Waller. So the fact that they have that, I mean, listen, the whole offseason, the talk was, how do the Giants get more explosive? How do they get some more separation? And they had that. Those were all in the second half. So kudos to Darren Waller. I think he's been instrumental in this Giants offense in creating space for other guys as well as himself. And also, he's given a lot of confidence to Daniel Jones that I've got a guy that I can go to that I know is going to find a way to get open. No matter what the coverage is, man coverage, he can always find a little window and use his body, use his size to his advantage.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal pass catcher as a tight end, and this relationship between Daniel Jones and Darren Waller is going to nothing but improve. I think this was the first day that you really started to see what this could possibly become, and then you get Jalen Hyatt out there, and then you have Darius Slayton. So there's a lot of playmakers that we didn't have, that the Giants didn't have on their team last year, and now you're starting to see what this offense is supposed to look like. And the offensive line is even starting to look a lot better. Even though we had some the Giants had some injuries, there's still a lot of opportunity for this team looking forward. And looking forward after this game, the momentum and everything about this team, it's starting to look like we thought this Giants team would look like when we went into the season.
Yeah, earlier this week, Darren Waller was talking about his leadership and how he can inspire leadership, not just with a veteran presence, but also creating that separation and giving Daniel Jones an option. He did just that. Also, just have to give a little shout out to his wife, too. Kelsey Plum and her Aces completed the series sweep in the WNBA playoffs. So a lot of celebration in that household.
We want the liberty.
You know?
No, we don't want to.
We got more Giants Postgame Live brought to you by Moderna, continuing after this one. Hey Giants fans, check out the Eli Manning Show presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the new shows. It's the Eli Manning Show starring Shaun O'Hara. Subscribe today.
That was not in the read.
That was not in the read. I ad-libbed that.
I don't think Eli wants people to know I'm on that one.
Eli Manning Show starring Eli Manning and Shaun O'Hara. You guys have a great duo. You guys get into some shenanigans and tomfoolery.
Yeah, we have a little fun. We like to make fun of each other as well as our guests, which I think makes for good TV.
It does indeed. And you know what else makes for good TV? A Giants win, which we're coming off of one today. They've got a short week though, heading to San Francisco for Thursday night football. Next game, Thursday, September 21st, 8:15 p.m. We'll be here right afterwards, recapping that Thursday night football game. Niners are a tough team, a tough matchup coming off of this one. Andrew Thomas, of course, did not play in today's game, dealing with a hamstring injury. He said, he's been feeling a little bit better, but on a short week, a short turnaround, that's one of the several injuries that we'd be keeping our eye on.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This 49ers defense has all kinds of speed. Nick Bosa on the edge. They signed Javon Hargrave in the offseason. And when you look at Fred Warner, one of the best middle linebackers in the game right now, that's going to be an interesting matchup with him and, with Darren Waller, that kind of matchup. But when you look at this 49ers offense, boy, they just chew up yards and points. They've scored 30 points in both games this year. They're 2-0. Christian McCaffrey had a monster game against the Rams. They like to layer things schematically and pre-snap motions and, George Kittle. And, there's a lot going on offensively that defensively you really have to mind your P's and Q's.
Yeah, Shanahan is very creative with his offense, but the guy who's engineering it is Brock Purdy. And he's just been phenomenal all year. He's very efficient with the football, not going to make a lot of mistakes, and gives the ball to the big playmakers.
And has never lost a regular season game yet in his career. Today was the first time a number one overall pick quarterback faced a last overall pick quarterback. We'll see how it goes Thursday. Watch us afterwards. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us on Giants Postgame Live.